Welcome back. You're live on 5 with Jemma and Lynn. Later we'll debate whether Donald Trump should be allowed to make a speech to Parliament. But first, was Prince Andrew right to attend an Easter service with other royals this Sunday? He joined King Charles and Queen Camilla at St George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. It's the first time he's been photographed at a formal royal family event since last Easter. He gave the royals traditional Christmas gathering in Sandringham a miss amid allegations of his close friendship with an alleged Chinese spy. But should he have swerved this service too? Jemma, I mean, he has to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Prince Andrew has to be somewhere, OK? Why shouldn't he be with his family on an Easter Sunday?
Because they are part of an institution and you want to preserve the integrity of that institution. There is a lack of public support surrounding Andrew for very good reason. I mean, the Chinese spy thing is just the latest. We all know about his association with the convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein, along with various allegations that may be unfounded. We don't know, but a lot of smoke around
no
him.
Convictions,
no convictions, 100%. But you know, we are also at a point where the soft power of the monarchy might be very important for us at the moment, you know? And every time you see Andrew, you just think, well, I do anyway, I think, ugh, go away. You know, he hasn't earned the right to be there. Go into another church if you want to go and pray on this special religious day, but don't be photographed as part of the institution.
These are not public duties. This is a family gathering, OK, a formal family gathering, if you like, and if you're excluding somebody from being with their family on those days...
You can have lunch with them after.
Yeah, but, I mean, what he does, he's not allowed to go out in public at all?
He is allowed, but we're talking about, is it a good look? So it's their decision, isn't it? And he withdrew from the Christmas one, right? And that was for right reason. Like, they are part of the royal family.
I think it depends how you look at it. If you look at it from a public opinion point of view, Gemma's right. Like, I haven't spoken to one person in the public that are like, you know, we need to bring him back into the fold. We understand that things happen in life. Like, no one... I can strongly suggest that no one thinks like that. So if they really want to keep the public on side, I think they do need to have strong words with Andrew saying, you know, you're a liability to our public perception. But then if we look at Easter and we really are, which I'm seeing loads of conversation whirl around now with regards to this increase for Christianity and, you know, religion or whatever, then, you know, and we look towards being Christ-like, as Christians would say, Jesus would often sit with sinners, he would often sit with criminals. We're not saying Andrew is one, but, you know, people that were seen as ostracised from society or looked at unfavourably. And in the Bible, the book of Ephesians, Matthew talks about forgiveness and talks about, you know, not being judged, judge not lest ye be judged. So if we're going to actually take this Christian stance, we can't have these strong judgments of who should be with their family or not, because we're trying to be Christ-like if you're a Christian. And as I said, Christ did sit with unfavourable characters.
OK, but they are at the same time a family, and they represent heads of state, King Charles, Queen Camilla. You know, at what point do we say that the optics of the thing, of our ruling family being seen with someone about whom such big questions have been made?
But then what about the ambassador? He also was a friend, you know, who Keir Starmer chose to be ambassador. He also had lots of pictures seen with Epstein. So at what point do we, by association, yes, he did settle with one of his victims.
About Mandelson?
Yes.
OK, listen, I want to take some calls anyway. Kathy's in Lancashire. Was it right of Prince Andrew to attend this Easter Sunday service, Kathy? What do you think?
Absolutely, I don't see why. Excuse me. Excuse me. I agree with that Jemma that's just spoken then, because I've been banished to the bedroom with no TV.
Oh, OK, right. We've got Jemma here.
And the lady who last spoke was Lynn.
The last lady who spoke was Lynn, yeah.
Lynn spoke a lot of sense. I mean, what century are we in? We're a laughing stock around the world, the way we're treating Andrew. He's not been found guilty of anything. Other people have been in the presence of Epstein, and nothing's happened. They are a family. People are laughing at the royal family. What's that saying that the Lord said? Let he who cast the first stone have no sin.
Are they not laughing after the Emily Maitlis interview, do you think, at us for having this person at the head of our ruling family, of allowing him back anywhere near cameras that as we said, the optics of which are terrible. Is that not a reason for laughing at what's happening as well?
But a king and a queen consort who were unfaithful in Diana's back without wishing to drag all that back up again. What about that? Nobody ever talks about that.
I think they do. I think they talk about it quite a lot.
With respect, Kathy, I'm not laughing about what Jeffrey Epstein specifically was with his disgraceful, disgusting wife, trafficking young girls, making them go and actually imprisoning them on their islands and in their houses and making them perform sexual acts on people. And Andrew was associated with that. He was seen in Central Park, visiting him for goodness how long, days on end. And that interview exposed him for what he is, a self-entitled, unaware, pampered man with terrible judgment.
Do you think this is the thin end of the wedge, that this is a part of an attempt to reintroduce Andrew to public life, or do you think that just couldn't happen now?
I'd imagine it's a one-off and that they are, like, we're a family and it's church and you put things aside. But I just think it reminds everybody of him and it taints the family. It just does. And I think King Charles did take quite a strict stance on it at one point, and it's for them to decide, of course. You've got to be mindful of public perception. They are not an ordinary family.
Okay.
But at the same time, they're human and they're no better than anyone else. As you said with, the caller said about the Queen Consort and King Charles, the affair, and Andrew with his carrying on.
An affair is very different. That is a human
but
interaction that doesn't
I understand. I'm not
trafficking young women.
No sign of William and Kate at the
Well, it's infidelity.
service.
According to the Bible, it's very wrong.
Yeah, of course, but it's sort of not as harmful to as many people.
No sign of William and Kate at the service. Do you think that's significant?
Yeah, I'd imagine. I think they said that they wanted to just be as a family, didn't they, separately? We don't know.
Maybe because he was there. Maybe we don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Of course, there's an
anyone
assumption
around the dodgy uncle.
Let's take another call. Maria's in Portsmouth. Do you think Prince Andrew was right to go? Do you think he was right to be invited? Go on, Maria.
Yes, I do think he was right to go. He went with his family to church. Now, before your other panellists cut me off, can I just say this? We are talking about the church and his family. He has not been charged with anything, so we don't really know what part he played in whatever he played in or did not play in. So I'm not clarifying anything to do with the charges or speculation of that. We are talking about a church. If somebody does something wrong, they have a right to go to church and seek penance for that. And he had the right to be there with his family. You all on that panel have had some kind of family members that might be going through a bad time and want to be with them. The king is showing he has compassion to his brother, and he is being there for his brother, and he had every right to do so. And he was there to be with the people. And you know what, to Andrew, I'm not a big Andrew fan, but I've worked with an armed forces charity, and people have told me when he was in the armed services, he did do a lot for people, and he was quite a kind person. So we have to remember that as well.
Yeah,
now, whatever the stories are out there, they're stories. They're not fact. He's not been in a court of law yet, so we're just judging somebody. Can we stop judging people until we see them in that courtroom, hear what the case is against him through a judge?
What did you think, Maria?
I think if he was a normal person, he would have had the same opportunity to be able to pay millions to make it go away.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know what the facts are, but that's because
you just
conveniently...
said somebody was paying millions to get something to go away, and then said, but that we don't know, that's not a fact. But you just said that.
It
Maria.
is a fact that somebody was paid by the Queen on behalf of Andrew. That is a fact.
Right.
Maria, what did you think
There's
of the way...
fact that the Queen paid somebody money, according to whoever at the palace. Have you seen the paperwork?
Well, it was reported in all the national newspapers.
Right, it's in the national newspaper, and not in a rude way. We could go back in time with national newspapers and seen that they did bad stories and they weren't really
It's really weird horse to back. I don't
Maria,
get it.
Did you see the interview?
Because I am not backing him.
Do you think money wasn't paid? Sorry, are you suggesting that money wasn't paid to the victim? Is that what you're suggesting?
One, I don't know the victim, nor do you. Two, we have not seen any paperwork to prove that any money came from anywhere.
It wouldn't
haven't
be
seen
able
the Royal
to
Palace
be-
has a-
Maria,
Have
you
just
seen
out of
the
interest,
paperwork to
Maria,
prove
did you
it?
see the interview between Emily Maitlis and Prince Andrew? And if you
Yes,
did...
I did.
OK, what did you think of the answers he gave to the questions she asked?
When he sat there and was actually answering the questions, he was very, very coy. Because I don't think he was ever in a world of understanding that someone like her, which I absolutely admire, I think she's an amazing person, was able to sit there in a very calm way. I think he was expecting someone a bit more arrogant and a bit more attacking. She was very calm. She asked the questions very, very calmly.
OK, but how
And it made him
convincing were his answers? Let's forget about her.
Right, one, I've got to be very, very honest here. I'm not a great Prince Andrew fan, to be honest.
You're doing a great job of sticking up for him.
No, I'm not sticking up for him. What I'm sticking up for is that in this country, we respect the rule of law. Why are we having people berated around? He went to church with his family.
OK.
His brother, who is the King of England, showed compassion to his brother,
OK.
who has not been charged with
OK,
anything.
I would say this, that the law treats people with millions of pounds in their pockets slightly differently to those who don't. Listen, thank you, Maria, for your call. After the break, we're taking more of your calls on whether Prince Andrew was right to attend the Royals' Easter service. 0207 862 2222 is the number you need. Loads of calls coming in on whether Prince Andrew was right to join the Royals at an Easter service at a chapel in Windsor Castle this weekend. Let's go straight to it. Dave's in Cumbria. What do you reckon? Should he have been there, Dave? Should he have been seen there?
Well, what I was going to say was, the thing that I find about with the royal family nowadays, I don't think it's ever going to be as like what it was when the Queen Mum and the Queen was alive, bless her. But I think Prince Andrew sealed his fate when I'm not 100% sure, but did he not pay 10 million to someone to go away? Well, if that's the case, then...
Just to be clear, he's always denied the allegations, Dave. It was an undisclosed amount.
But I wouldn't give somebody £1 if I didn't do something.
You'd go through the process in full sight so so they would understand your innocence straight away. That's what you'd do, Dave.
Yeah, why would you give someone 10 million? You wouldn't give them £1.
Yeah, I agree.
OK, so...
you sealed your fate. And then you've got King Charles with what he done to Diana. I think the whole royal family's just in a total mess.
OK, Dave, how about if we see this as an act of forgiveness from one brother to another, to say, actually, people make mistakes and they're allowed to come back from those mistakes and learn from them?
Yeah, but it's just the fact of, the trafficking with young girls. And how do you forgive something like that?
Okay, that's...
No matter who you are.
So he didn't traffic young girls. We've got to be really clear about that. And he denies the allegations that were made about him.
Yeah.
No charges, no conviction.
We know that, but the fact that he gave that 10 million to me is, that's it. He sealed his fate.
There's no conviction because it never went to court, because there was an out-of-court settlement of millions and millions and millions of pounds.
But then there's not always, but there's often times where wealthy people don't even want the PR. For example, very rarely do people talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, who paid over 300,000, to ensure that a case wasn't brought against him.
Isn't that the responsibility that comes with privilege? If you are that high profile with all of the benefits that you get of it, tens of millions of pounds that are coming your way, do you not then have to accept the responsibility that if you make a mistake, you have to deal with that in the full light of day?
I think so. I think that shows integrity. But then some people do weigh up the pros and cons of, I've got a massive film coming up, or I've got a massive, address coming up. I'd rather it just go away. I'm not saying that it makes them innocent. I'm just saying it's not as clean cut as if someone does pay.
What else did Prince Andrew have coming up exactly that was more important
a round of golf.
than dealing with the allegations, serious allegations
And I would also
against him?
say that
I think the royal
taxpayers aren't funding movie stars. They're not funding other celebrities or footballers. So it isn't
I think the
so
royal
much...
family probably encouraged it to make it go away. But what it has done is, I think he should have. I think he should have said, I want my day in court to show the British public, who we are answerable to, that I didn't do this. So I think it does look bad.
There was a picture of him with Virginia Giuffre and he denied ever having met her. Maybe, and this is just my opinion...
And that doesn't help.
He thought it might not go his way.
OK, let's take another call. Martin is in Bedfordshire. Thank you, Dave, for your call, by the way. Martin, what do you reckon? Should we have seen Prince Andrew at church this Easter?
Absolutely. Why not? I mean, he's don't forget, he's also a war hero. He's never been prosecuted for anything in his life. And don't forget, Trump's been associated with Epstein as well. We should say he should be president. Well, to be fair,
I mean, that's a separate argument, isn't it, Martin? And Trump can be unelected. He was democratically elected. We have no choice about our royal family. They're there because of DNA.
Yeah, but don't forget as well, her honesty has come into question recently herself.
But Martin, would you pay? Martin,
no, hold on. You didn't hear my question. Hold on, you didn't hear my question. Her honesty has come into question recently over a car crash where she said she only had hours to live, and that has turned out to be absolute nonsense.
I mean, she is the victim of, a traumatic and life-changing experience, Martin. Is it understandable that maybe...
Well, no, I'm sorry. We all go through trials and tribulations in our life. Her honesty has come into question. So why shouldn't her honesty come into question with Prince Andrew back in the day? And to be honest with you...
That's proven. She wasn't of age.
Sorry?
She wasn't of age. That was proven, that she wasn't of age.
It's not been proven at all. Okay. It was paid out of court. Michael Jackson did the same thing.
Why would you pay somebody...
Would you pay, Martin? Would you pay if you were innocent of something and someone said just pay an amount to make it go away? Would you want to prove that you're innocent, or would you pay?
If I was under the American system, I would definitely pay, because I don't believe in the American judicial system whatsoever. I think it's a terrible judicial system compared to our own country.
What about here, though?
In England, it wouldn't happen here anyway. And the fact is that she was 16. Well, if it had happened here, it wouldn't have been illegal.
I think she was 17. I think Virginia Giuffre was 17 at the time the alleged offences took place. I just don't understand, Martin, why you'd pay huge sums of money to make it go away rather than allow daylight onto the proceedings and find out the truth. Alice is in Manchester. Thanks for your call, Martin. Alice is in Manchester. What do you think?
Good morning, Matt. I'm not used to seeing you as a presenter. You're usually the panellist, or you used to be.
Not for many years, Alice. But
right, okay.
We'll try and struggle through together, shall we?
Sorry?
We'll try and struggle through together.
Quite frankly, I'm just getting fed up of this. I just can't believe what we're hearing. Of course, he had every right to go to that service. At the end of the day, it was a family service. It was, and this has just been going on for too long. Tell me something. What did he do that was so different from a lot of dirty old men?
Why does that
he
make
had
it
sex
wow. Well, that's all right then.
Don't interrupt. You're forever doing that. That woman in the black and white is really getting on my nerves. She keeps interrupting people who are trying to talk. The fact of the matter is he didn't do anything that a lot of dirty old men don't do. That woman was not 7 years old. She was 17. She knew exactly what she was doing. And now, as far as I'm concerned, I can't stand the man, by the way. All right? I've heard too much about
him. That's it. We have to stop it there. I'm so sorry, Alice, confirming all of the things you probably think about us already. But we have to stop that call. Thank you for all of your calls on this.